gotten a lot of feedback on our recent observations from the meteor detection system that we have in place. That's been kind of the matter of a lot of focus lately. Wayne, what's been going on today with this thing? Have you been monitoring it?
Yeah, I have, Steve. In fact, here, let me cut it off there for the second. Yeah, I've been up since 4 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And I can say that last night there was a brief, and I mean just a very brief, clear screen. We would see the occasional ping, which is supposed to show as a meteorite coming through. However, this came back, and Steve, I can say I have been recording now or watching this and recording in intervals going on 6 hours. And what is alarming to me is that this signal is beginning, here we're coming right up here, as you can see right now. You see this, Steve? Mm-hmm. We're bleeding over into the other megahertz. We're no longer in the 55.240 megahertz level. We're now bleeding over right and left. And so this is disturbing, and maybe you could give everyone a brief background on what radar technology, et cetera, really is. So kind of explain what it is that we're seeing here.
Yeah, the first thing you need to know when I explain this, you guys, is I went to the United States Air Force Radio School, okay? So what I worked on was navigation, avionics, navigation, and communication systems, including radar. What radar is, and if you think about the military and sonar in the Navy and in the Air Force and Army, what they're doing is they're putting a signal out in a very specific band. Okay, it's not in this band. 55.24 is what's called the VH band. That's where we see our television stations. The reason that they get such a pure and constant signal from this 55.240 is because that's the band that VHF TV stations transmit in. So it's a constant barrage in that bandwidth, and they pick that one slice of it because that's the strongest part. Jesus, look at that.
Look at that. That's what I'm talking about, Steve.
All right, let me continue with my explanation. Yeah. So just like radar, any radio signal can work for a radar return. And in this case, what they're doing is they're using TV signals, just the ones that go out in general VHF band, and they're measuring what returns from the atmosphere. That's why this is such a great, simple, yet very effective instrument. And the reason it's effective is because it's picking up now what we're seeing here is almost as if I was using radar in the ionosphere. That's almost the same idea. I am picking a huge return with
by the way, Steve, not to interrupt, it has a friend, and we need to watch this because it's not constant, but we find it has a little friend that will show up as you begin to see here. So I'm sorry to break in on that, but wanted to point that out.
So I'm glad that you're showing this real time as I'm talking. So what we're seeing is from our ionosphere. Our ionosphere, the effective range of this, but I also want to point out not the limit, not the upper limit of this range, is about 105 kilometers, about 65 miles. Now, if there's still a strong return, though, from a solid object slightly above the ionosphere, it would still bring back a return like this. Now let me talk about this strong, look at the strong band of return.
Look at that, Steve. Look at this, Steve. It's bleeding all the way over here. Folks, you don't understand what's happening, but this is unprecedented.
It is unprecedented, okay? So let me stay calm, and I'm going to continue to explain this now. So that red return, the reason it's so red is because it's coming back on a solid object. There is no doubt about it. That is a solid object that it's coming off of some sort. Could it be an iron oxide cloud? Possibly, but it wouldn't be so red and so intense in the middle, number one. And then number two, we're getting a return not just from that 55.24, which is the strongest band to get returns on. We're getting it return from either side of it, which means this thing isn't only solid, but it's a big solid object of some sort, is what I would walk away from this as a radar operator. We also have an explanation that they just popped up on Live Meteor in the last 24 hours. Let me read it to you. If you see and hear something, sometimes a strong continuous signal that runs more than a minute or so, that is unlikely to be a meteor echo, and it goes on to talk about sporadic E. This is not sporadic E. Sporadic E might last for a couple minutes, or maybe even 15 or 20 minutes. So I was watching to see if this thing was going to stop yesterday, and that's why I put out the special report, because it did not stop. This is not sporadic E, okay? Now, the second thing is you see these small returns on the right side of that signal. That's what he's saying, is that it's got a friend. You see that little dot that just...
There we go, right here, Steve.
That's 2 returns, guys. That's 2 separate things.
Look at here.
So what we might be looking at is actually 2 objects or more. Not enough data here. Now, if I had a professional radar from the United States military and I was able to do some decent return work, we could actually, you know, ascertain direction, we could ascertain size, all those things. So if this thing is in our atmosphere, our world governments know about it for sure.
Exactly. And Steve, the reason why we're talking about this is that, all right, let's assume that it's not a malfunction. It's amazing how when we see these kind of things that there's always a software glitch or something. However, we do know this from other reports, other subscribers. This has been ongoing. It's constant. It does not abate. And as I said, we're going on that I have witnessed now going on 6.5 hours.
And this was first brought to my attention approximately 24 hours.
Look at this, Steve. Look at this. Look at that.
What is this, Wayne?
I do not know, sir. I do not know.
That's why we're making this video today, guys. This is the update on what we're seeing here today. The reason Wayne and I wanted to get on today's update, though, is a very specific request. If you know anything that would be causing this, I'm open to glitches. I'm open to, there could be some kind of an experiment going on. I would be open to anything. Tell us what this is. That's just this. Let me compare it. Let me do a comparison so everybody knows how serious this is. When we had the return from the Chelyabinsk meteor that caused all that damage in Russia in 2014, you with me, Wayne?
I'm with you, brother. Yes, I am. Yep.
It only lasted for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
On this instrument.
Look at this, Steve. This is a huge return. And folks, listen, we are asking for anyone that has an expert to analyze this. But Steve, this is what got my hairs going. This is bleeding over into much larger bandwidth.
Yeah. So while my radio skills are old and my radar skills are old, if I've said anything wrong, I mean, I'm open to correction. But we are getting a huge return in the 55.24 and either side of it, which indicates a big solid object in our atmosphere. That's what I'm saying.
And if anyone can tell us differently and bring it to us in a scientific manner where the layman can understand, because we got some sharp people here, we are open to listen. Until then, Steve, I just think that our subscribers around the world need to become a little bit more diligent. Take a look up there, see what's going on, see if there's something that you can capture, and let's see what we can actually correlate together and collaborate.
That sounds like a good plan. And we'll leave it with this last comment. If you're in the southern hemispheres, in South America, Australia, New Zealand, Africa, South Africa, please look to the skies and the sky cams and tell us if you see something. With that, Wayne and I are going to sign off and hope that we get some great feedback.
Thank you, everyone.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying thank you to everyone to help us on this. And Steve, bless you, brother.
Bless you too, man. All right, that's a wrap.
Well, there it is. There it is. And I mean,